we must work on the soul line in order to get to the goal line. It's essential, and transformation only occurs when we look at what's happening on the inside, on perspectives, on mindset, on relationships with self and others. Once we can identify, heal wounds, shift, old limiting beliefs and ways of thinking, and open people up to the truth, clear their lens of perception, that's when they can start to succeed further on the goal line.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Go in there. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Welcome. We're here. It's time for another episode of the Adventures in Business Live podcast video live stream. Mandy, how are we doing today?
Amani, I'm sick again. I can't get rid of this thing. It's
Sorry.
so stupid.
I'm so sorry.
I know. But I'm like, I don't feel bad. I just have a cough. I sound bad. I sound kind of snotty.
Okay.
I'm a little tired, but I had a great weekend. We're doing a renovation and we finally picked the color cabinets. We finally picked the Sherwin-Williams color we're going to do on our lower cabinets, which was a big domestic topic for discussion over the last couple months.
Okay. I like how
Yeah.
you said domestic topic. Okay.
It was.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about domestic negotiation through this renovation. I've been really trying to apply my negotiation tactics here. It's a lot, but we're in a good spot. We know our cabinets, countertops, floors. What else? Appliances, windows. Yeah, we made some decisions, so we're in a good spot.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What about your weekend? You were at Brand Builders again. You were in Nashville, no?
I was in Nashville, so I did that. Arrived back in Vegas Friday evening and rested the rest of the weekend because I was exhausted. Long week, so it was good. It was really good. I got something to show you. May I show you
Oh,
something?
well, I was gonna. You had looked a little distracted, and I was like, "What is he? What's on his mind?" I feel like, is this something you wanted to show me this whole time?
Yes.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
see it. Let's see it. Okay.
Okay, so audience, I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to show it to Mandy next. Mandy, you have to make sure you're looking in ping. And Portia's
Okay.
our guest. You can see it in ping also. So
Am I
audience, this is
closing
what I'm
my
going to show
eyes?
Mandy.
Should I close my eyes until
No,
you
no
say?
need to
Oh,
close your eyes.
okay.
It's not that
Okay.
big, though.
Okay.
Okay, so hold on. Hold on here. Okay, so make sure your screen in ping is big. Do you see it? Let's see here. Do you see my screen?
Oh, Amani. Okay, I gotta tell you, I knew about this.
I thought you did. I
I
thought you
knew
did.
about this. Okay, just so what is anybody else looking what I'm looking at?
Yes, everyone can see it
Okay.
on the screen. Yes.
Okay, Amani. So for those that are listening, Amani is
Yeah.
on the cover of Meetings Today magazine, which is a huge deal. This is one of the number one magazines in our business.
Mhm.
And he's on the cover wearing his orange and his headphones saying spinning success. So if you don't get Meetings Today magazine, check out this issue. I haven't read the article yet though. Have you read the
Yeah.
article? And how
I
is
think
it?
so. I haven't read it yet though, but I try. Like Taylor's the one who wrote it. Taylor Swift wrote it, and so she interviewed
Mhm.
me a couple months or so ago, right before my book came out, and we have the picture there. So yes, so I just had to share because there's a picture of you in the article
Aw.
too. There's a picture of you in the article also. So yeah,
Aw, is that why you were asking me for pictures of my
yes,
you
yes,
okay, I was like, "Why is he asking me for pictures of the 2 of us together?" That's kinda weird,
yes,
but I didn't even ask why.
yes, yes,
Oh, Amani, that's a big honor. You deserve that. You really show
yeah.
people in this business how to get it done. I'm so proud of you. That's really, really cool.
Yes, thank you. My first ever magazine cover, so it comes out tomorrow. So it's very exciting. Very exciting.
Awesome. It's a good looking picture too. It's a good looking
Yeah,
picture.
thank you.
The ladies will
So
love it.
let's go. We love it when the ladies love it. So let's let's transition from that to our guest today
To a
before I
lady
keep
we
blushing.
love.
Yes, there you go.
So this is we have Portia Smith on, and wow, are we lucky to have her on. She is the founder and CEO of Elevate Coaching, formerly Portia Smith Coaching. And she was an executive vice president for manufacturing. She's got entrepreneurial and a coaching mindset. She founded this great coaching company where she's helping executives and entrepreneurs with burnout, helping them handle difficult career conversations, career decisions, helping them set better boundaries, remove barriers to success, and overall just live a better life than they knew that they could. So, we're going to have a lot of coaching
Yeah.
conversations today. So,
Yes.
welcome to the show, Portia Smith. It's so good to see you.
Yes. Yes. We'll give you a round of applause here. So hold on, round of applause there.
Thank
All right.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Mandy,
Yeah.
for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, Amani. And congratulations, Amani.
Thank you. Thank
I,
you.
I
Yeah.
I got the orange memo. Mandy and I got the orange memo.
We
Yes.
did.
Looking
We
Yes. But
good.
I'm
did.
not wearing orange today. But yes, I appreciate it. We love it. Um, so thank you for being on the show. I like to warm us up with a couple questions for you. I'm so intrigued by this answer. Where does your interest in languages come from?
Hmm. Well, I think the honest answer is it comes easily to me. um, I I started studying languages in high school because it was required, and I found it to be quite easy to learn. And from there, it became a passion because one epiphany I had when studying languages, particularly Japanese, is that I learned that anybody can really learn anything as long as someone has the interest, the willingness, and the dedication and puts the time in. And that was enlightening to me. And although language comes easier to some than others, just like all things, because it came so easy to me, it was something that was fun. I'm actually on my, what day is it? I'm on my 569th day in a
Oh,
row of
nice.
learning on
Yeah.
Duolingo right now.
Congrats.
I
Yeah.
just
Huge.
finished number one in the top league yesterday in the competition.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Um,
Fancy.
wow.
I
Okay.
just I love learning. In general, I love learning, and languages are just so fun. I mean, to be able to communicate with so many different people, it's fun to me.
What language are you currently learning right now?
Well, I was relearning French. I had become fluent in French and then didn't practice it for 20 years, so I was bringing it back. And then my dear sister, my incredibly generous sister, invited us to Italy this summer. And once I found that out in February, I decided, oh, gotta start getting on Italian. So I've been heavy hitting the Italian right now.
Okay. All right. So I have other questions, but it gets a little bit intense and specific. So I'm going to bounce this to Mandy and then I'll get into my other questions because it talks about like the coaching and definitions of words and all the things. So, Mandy, you can continue to warm us up and then I'll get to it.
Okay, love it. Well, I didn't realize about the languages. That's fun. Really quick, what's one of your favorite words in a different language?
Oh, that's a good
No cursing.
question.
No cursing.
You can curse. Curse all you want, Portia. Just make Amani blush. Just makes him blush.
Well, I could. Can I say a phrase?
Yes, let's hear it.
Well, one of my favorite phrases is from Spain, and it is a curse phrase, but it's hilarious and it's so common in Spain, and it's "que te folle un pez espada," and it means that you f a swordfish,
Oh, oh,
and it's a
Why do
very
you say
common.
that? Why do you say that?
yeah.
Like, it's meaning like F off or F you, but the way they say it is like, "Go F a swordfish." It's like a common saying. I just think it's hilarious.
That's funny. That's funny. Mine is I love the word espinaca, spinach in
Ah,
Spanish.
espinaca.
I just like how it sounds. And I know like when you learn another language, there's always got to be a word that you love that just sounds good, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I love a lot of Japanese words. I named some pets after Japanese words. I think the like Suki, I think that's really cute. That just means like, or
Oh,
kawaii, that means cute.
that is kawaii. That's very cute.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the way back, not the way back machine, but the far distant past machine. Because you were a super successful executive vice president for a biofuel manufacturing company. Then you decided to switch gears and get your master's in spiritual psychology, right?
Yes.
So, how did you come to that decision and what did that transition look like for you?
Well, I'll back up a little further. Prior to starting the biofuel manufacturing company, I was a realtor and I was in real estate, and I decided to become an investor and got really into investing and owned my own home in my early 20s and at the beach. And then in the crash of 2008, lost everything. And that
Mm,
was a real big transition phase for me, one of many learning opportunities. And that is what led me to transition into being a co-founder, co-starter of this biofuel company. And at the time, it wasn't my idea. I was kind of happened to be in the right place at the right time, but we had the idea that we were going to save the world by emitting or limiting greenhouse gases by producing a clean burning alternative to diesel fuel. And we had all the best intentions. And what we learned was it was the most complex, complicated, difficult endeavor
Mm,
ever. And another tremendous learning experience. However, incredibly difficult and stressful for a number of reasons, dealing with various commodities, pricing that was not in our control, volatile chemicals, a plant that ran 24/7, 365, a fleet of trucks on the road. It was just, for a number of reasons, very difficult. And as a result, very stressful. And during the 8 years that I was part of that business, my health began to decline dramatically.
mm,
And simultaneously, since a teenager, I've been a seeker of truth, a seeker of spirituality, of personal development, of consciousness. And so that was happening simultaneously as I was continuing to grow in that realm. And I had my first coach. I hired my first coach at the age of 24 when I was in real estate. And that was really transformational for me. And at the time, I had a little voice in my head that said, wow, like, what a cool vocation. You could, like, how cool could you someday be a coach? But then another much louder voice quickly shut it down and was like, who are you? Like, how could you ever lead people, guide people? So it was something that spoke to me early on, but I didn't listen to. And I got to the point in the biodiesel company where I was unhappy enough and had the business experience and had the coaching experience where we grew the company to 35 employees. But over the course of the time, I probably hired, led, and managed probably maybe 100 different people. So I had a good amount of experience coaching people. And once I learned that there was a master's degree in spiritual psychology, it was like, oh, that's what I'm doing. That's
mm,
me. That's all this that I've been doing leading up to now has led me to like have the experience and the confidence to now do what I'm here to do. And
mm.
so I decided to exit and follow my soul.
I love that. So I want to hang here. Like, what types of things were you learning with spiritual psychology? Like what were the classes? What were the lessons? What were the takeaways? And I know we all go to school, whether it's undergrad or master's or PhD, for something. We don't
Mhm,
always end up there, but we always take something away from it. So what were
mhm.
some of those takeaways from that?
Such a great question. And I love the way you form that question because a lot of people ask, what is spiritual psychology? And that's a much more difficult thing to define. But to answer the question, what are some of the takeaways or learnings? It's based on principles of spiritual psychology. And some of the main principles are the principle that nothing in this life is happening to us, it's all happening for us. So, really looking at any situation as an opportunity that's in service to our learning, upliftment, and growth. Another principle is really understanding that um, the issue that we're looking at isn't the issue, it's how we're relating to it is the issue.
Mm,
So when we're all upset about something, it's like, okay, wait, how I'm choosing to relate to this is really the issue because we have a choice in how we relate to anything that we're faced with or experiencing. We
I
learned
hear
a
that.
lot. Yeah, it's so many like nuggets that help with everyday life. We learned a foundational skill is compassionate self forgiveness. So, learning that when we're in upset, when we're in emotional upset, that is the barometer to tell us that we are in judgment. We are in judgment of ourselves, of someone else, or something, the world, anything. And once we can peel that layer back and identify what is it that we are judging or what are the judgments that are present, then we can lead ourselves through a process of self forgiveness where we forgive ourselves for those judgments and reframe them with the truth and get back to a place of neutrality.
That's beautiful.
So I'm curious, first of many questions, how were you able to, we'll say mid-career life,
Mhm.
have the courage to leave your job to start a new, completely new position, job, career in a field that is misunderstood by so many people?
Hmm. I think that's a two-part answer. Um, First part is more kind of the external, and then I'll shift to internal. Technically, I was kind of on that was kind of my fourth shift. I started my first like kind of career was a bartender. I mean, that's how I bought my first house was bartending and making good money and so that was a career till I was 27 years old. Then I shifted into my second career, which was real estate, then into biofuel. So in a way, it didn't feel that courageous, I guess, to shift careers because it wasn't new to me to completely shift industries and careers. That's more the external answer. The more internal courage, I don't think it's that. I don't think it takes that much courage to move towards something that is pulling you towards it.
Mm,
Mm,
Me pulling me. I mean, it was this strong pull that was undeniable. And I know that I had the courage then that I didn't have when I was younger because I had the experience. I had so much. By that time in my life, I had been through so many obstacles, so many personal life challenges, so many health challenges. I'd overcome so much that I knew I could help people in so many ways on the soul line personally, but also I had that startup founder wearing 10 different hats, growing business, selling, all of that. And so I knew that I had also, like on paper, the experience to then lead. And I just needed to go and learn, deepen in the skills. But really, the courage was not too difficult to drum up because it was more like a calling.
okay. My next question is, what is your definition of self-worth and why is it so hard for people to stick to their self-worth?
That's a great question. I mean, I would say that self-worth is defined by how we talked earlier about how we relate to things. It's how we relate to ourselves. It's the person that we see when we look in the mirror. It's the inner dialogue that we have with ourselves, and it's the choice that we make on how to view ourselves and how to accept ourselves for who we are, the perfectly imperfect people that we are. I really think self-worth is a choice and it's
Ah,
also an exercise. And I think that part of the reason it's so difficult is because people don't realize that. And they've been ingrained to believe that their self-worth is tied to their net worth or to their image or their likes or followers or any external thing. And I think when people realize that A, it's a choice, and B, it is a constant exercise, um, they that's when there's an opportunity to deepen in and grow and cultivate that self-worth and maintain it. I describe inner work, all inner work, self-worth being one of them, as I work with people and a lot of times they go, this is so great, but this is so hard. It's
Mhm,
so hard.
mhm,
And I always say, yeah, it's hard, but what's more difficult, living the way you were before or with the mindset that you have now? And every time, 10 out of 10, it's way easier to live this way now, where I'm not always on having road rage and angry at everyone and angry at myself. And so the way I describe it is, when we start getting into physical fitness and we start eating healthy and going to the gym and we have a goal, we don't just reach that goal and then stop because we got there. It's an ongoing, lifelong maintenance, physical health and fitness. Same way with mental, emotional, and spiritual health. It is a daily exercise and practice in, hey, you're doing all right. I forgive myself for judging myself as messing up on that podcast or whatever. It's a consistent choice and practice.
I think that's a good segue to your coaching in general. Like you do one-to-one coaching, you do one-to-many.
Mhm,
The testimonials on your website are spectacular. It's like there's senior level men, there's senior level women, there's mid-level to entry level. It's
mhm,
it's it's all different ranges, which I love to
mhm.
see. Like what is your coaching philosophy in general?
In general, my coaching philosophy is that me and my team and the company, that we strongly believe that we must work on the soul line in order to get to the goal line. It's essential, and transformation only occurs when we look at what's happening on the inside, on perspectives, on mindset, on relationships with self and others. Once we can identify, heal wounds, shift old limiting beliefs and ways of thinking, and open people up to the truth, clear their lens of perception, that's when they can start to succeed further on the goal line.
And when do you normally see that? Because I imagine this work is intense, this work is
Mhm,
deep, and people may get to a
mhm.
point where they're like, "Oh, no, 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 I don't like what I see." Like, do they ever stop? Do they ever ghost you? Like, what does that process look like before they get to the goal line?
I've had one person ghost me one time, and he's back now
Mm,
mm.
of course.
and
Good.
in full force.
Yeah.
um, and I think it was just, I have ghosted a therapist, so I don't
Mhm.
take it personally. I get it. Like we can it's very normal to get to a place where it's like, okay, I'm done doing the work right now. Like I need a break.
Yeah.
Um, to answer your question, like when does it occur? Was that mainly the
Yeah,
question?
like you're doing the work, you're doing the intense stuff, right?
Mhm.
And then you
Mhm.
get to the goal line. I'm imagining, I envision this is just a constant
Yeah.
go and back, right? Like you're
Yeah,
just like
absolutely.
flowing through it. But
Yes.
like how do people, yeah, what at what point do they get to the goal line in in your coaching?
It is so different for every person. And each, I don't, with the way my philosophy and methodology with Elevate is, we don't have templated coaching. We don't come in and go, okay, this is what we're going to focus on session one, session two, session three. Not at all, because everyone is so different and everyone has such different things that they want to work on. And they're all exactly the same.
Mhm.
um, but really, the biggest difference is how ready, vulnerable, and coachable the person is. I mean, there are people that come in day one who the decision maker, the CEO has said, okay, I want my executive team to have coaching. And they come in on day one and they're like, yeah, I don't really know. I don't think I need a coach. I don't have a lot to work on. And half of those people are crying in the first session.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that how I think that one of the things that makes me skilled at the way that I coach is that I am very in tune with where they are, and I always meet them where they are every day. I nudge people to the edge, but I never if I sense that someone's not ready to go somewhere or go do an exercise, I'll never ever push that edge ever. And I think that creates a real sense of safety, and people tend to feel safe pretty early on and go dive right in.
That's beautiful. Amani, I promise I have one more question and then I'll turn it back over. 'Cause you mentioned something that I think, is really important in coaching, but have a sneaking suspicion that this might be one of your superpowers is what is this fine line that you do with with your clients of compassion versus tough love? Like, how
Mm,
do each of them come in and when do you go to tough when you're like,
mhm,
is this a moment to be compassionate? Is this a moment to
mhm,
give tough love? Like, how does that work? How
mhm.
does that shake out for you?
It comes pretty naturally to me, and you're probably right. It probably could be seen as a superpower because, um, I'm certainly not here to placate. I'm I'm big on prizing, I'm big on acknowledging, and I'm also big on holding up a mirror and showing people what I see that they may not see. But I also am a very gentle coach, and so that all comes into that sense of safety. And when if someone says, I had someone the other day saying, "Well, he judges me all the time, and I never judge him." And I just said, "Wait, hold on, say that again." And I'll say, "I don't know if that's really true." And then they'll go, "Really?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I want to challenge you on that." And then I'll get them to start to like go, "Oh." So it's a gentle mirror, but it's definitely, I don't shy away from holding that mirror up.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Mhm,
You've mentioned a term. I've heard you say it 2 or 3 times. What is a soul line? Because you compared the soul line to the
mhm,
goal line. What's a soul line?
mhm. Good question. It's a concise way of saying all of the inner healing and work. So really everything that goes on the inside, self-worth, confidence, relationship to self and others, judgments, resentments, limiting beliefs, narrow perspectives, all the things that are holding us back inside that keep us from getting to where we want to go externally.
Okay. And then the concept of doing the work.
Mhm.
Why is that so hard for the majority of people to do the work and see it all the way through?
Well, one reason I think is because they think that it's a lot harder than it is.
Hmm.
I think that one of the reasons why it's hard for people to start doing the work is because many people have this fear that if they open a can of worms, it's going to just be a big mess and it's never going to like close again and be nice, neat, and bow. And that if they just don't look at it, it's just going to stay all wrapped up and they're fine right here. um, so I think that misbelief, it prevents a lot of people from even exploring doing the work, when it's really not true. I mean, it's like having a bottle of Coke and shaking it up and leaving the lid on. It just keeps all that pressure inside. We have to take that lid off, and once we unscrew the cap, there's gonna be some fizzing, there's gonna be some noise, there's gonna be some rumbling, and then, it settles. So I think that's one of the big reasons why people avoid beginning the work. And the reason why I think people struggle with staying consistent with the work once they've started is I think it just very similar to like people struggling to be consistent with physical health.
Yeah.
it's it it takes dedication and commitment, and we really have to want it and understand the value of it. And this day and age where everything is, shiny object coming at us and we're juggling a million different things and we have 5 screens, I think it's easy for that to fall to the bottom of the list and people not realize the benefit they can get out of prioritizing doing this work and how transformational their lives can be when they prioritize this type of work.
Okay. Great answer. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but I think you can handle it. I know you can handle it. So I'm going to list to you like the
Thanks for the
five
confidence.
different, yes, we got that confidence. The five different kind of, they're called grit attributes, which I'm sure you've heard of before. Grit attributes. So I'm going to list them. And then if you could rank maybe your top 2 most important.
Okay.
So the attributes are perseverance, passion, resilience, courage, and conscientiousness. Say that 5 times in a row. How would you, what would be your top 2?
Well, for me personally, it would be conscientiousness and resilience.
Tell us why. Interesting answer. Tell us why.
Well, I think in order to have strength in any of those, conscientiousness comes above all. We have to have the awareness to persevere, to know what we're persevering for. We have to have the conscientiousness and the awareness to choose a passion, to choose to go after our passion, to follow our passion. I mean, courage and resilience. I think that without having conscientiousness, to me, that's the foundation for the other ones,
Okay.
for everything, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then resilience is a personal one, just because, uh, uh, I just wouldn't be where I am today without it. And uh, it's a huge part of the tapestry of who I am is the resilience that I have called on to overcome and to grow and to learn and to be a being of light and love in this world.
Mm. You and me both. You and me both. You see, man, you see how this topic resilience keeps coming up? It keeps
I
appearing.
know it keeps appearing over and over.
Appearing.
We gotta listen. We
You
gotta
gotta pay
listen,
attention.
Amani.
You gotta be conscientious and pay attention.
That's right. Portia, I love how you say this. You've said this before, but you just said it again. Your tapestry.
Mm.
I think we're all so hard on ourselves and we talk about, how hard things can be or this or that, the other thing, but we don't realize how beautiful life is and how all these different challenges, these things, it is a quilt, right? It is a tapestry. So
Hmm.
I appreciated that visual that you just gave. I had this vision of this literal huge life tapestry behind you and like
Yeah.
wherever you go. I just thought that was really cool.
That gives me the chills. I love that
Yeah,
visual. Thank
that
you.
was cool. I want to switch gears for a second and talk about you talked about transformation internally, but I want to talk about the transformation between your business with your name on it to
Hmm.
Elevate Coaching because you're in the middle of a transition
Hmm.
now. Can you talk
Hmm.
about the reason and
Hmm.
where you're heading towards?
Sure. Um, yeah, so I was, once I became a coach, I was a solopreneur coach for almost 10 years. And I didn't even really have a dream to start a coaching company. I've always had a dream to reach more people, much like the way both of you do through writing books and through speaking and through coaching large groups, things like that. And that still is part of the dream for sure. Um, and I got to this, I've been really, really fortunate that up until now, I've built my entire business on word of mouth. And I reached a point last year where my practice was full. And I kind of was at a tipping point of, okay, do I refer business out? Do I turn it away? Or do I start this process of reaching more people through the methodology that I believe so strongly in and facilitate? And I thought a lot about it. I talked to various coaches about it. I meditated on it. And quite honestly, there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of resistance. I've had employees. I coach people with employees. Uh, there was a lot of big part of me that was like, hey, it's not broken right now. So you don't need to fix it. It's running really smoothly. But ultimately, I decided this is the next step in reaching more people and facilitating transformation in more lives. And the companies that I am already the in-house coach for are continuing to add more and more people. And I'm only one person. So I thought, let me bring other people in that have the similar training and background and continue to grow this mission.
That's beautiful. And that's how Elevate Coaching was born.
And that's how Elevate was born.
That's beautiful. Love that. Spread the word, spread the mission.
Spread the
Yeah.
mission. Are there any books or podcasts that have been particularly helpful to you on your journey?
I love books and podcasts. It would be difficult for me to name just one or two. I mean, I feel like I probably have 300 books in my Audible
Mhm.
library, not to mention physical books. But in this very moment, right now, I just finished season one of a podcast that has completely blown my mind, confirmed so much of what I have believed to be true about consciousness and spirituality and what happens when we die and all things across the veil. And it's called the Telepathy Tapes. And it has
Mm.
I mean, it is the most remarkable podcast I've ever listened to. And it is a huge paradigm shift for the whole world in what we think we know. And what I love about it is that it is, the documentary filmmaker who is making a documentary, but also creating this podcast. She's working really hard to have this all backed by science and it be irrefutable. And I won't say much more because I don't want to give it away, but I highly recommend it. Stick with it. The first episode or two are a little slow as she's building, but each one builds on the next, and it is deep. And I think everyone needs to listen to it.
All right.
Mm. The
Great.
telepathy tapes. It's on the
Telepathy.
Yes.
list.
Yes. Now we're to the point in the show where we flip the script and we let you ask both myself and Mandy any question you like. Nothing is off limits. So, who do you want to ask the question to first, and what is said question?
I'm gonna go with you first, Amani. I'm so interested. First, again, not only congratulations on the magazine cover, but congratulations on your book reaching the is it the USA Today best
Yes. Yeah.
list?
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
That, I mean, what a milestone! That's
Hmm.
amazing. And I'm really interested in this new book you're writing on the disappearance of Black R&B groups.
Hmm.
And growing up as a child of the 80s and 90s, R&B was a huge part of my experience and my nostalgia, and I miss R&B so much.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm curious what about it is calling you? What is it that's calling you to uncover this and speak to this now?
First of all, thank you. I would say, and actually, the book you're mentioning, that's the one that just made the
Oh, that's the
USA
one?
Today. Yeah, that's the one. It's right here.
Oh,
Yeah, it's right here. So it's done. The Quiet Storm. It just came out a
oh.
month ago, and I love your question because what brought me to write about it is growing up. I think we're probably very close in age, and
Mhm,
although you're probably younger than me, and just when it came to high school dances,
mhm,
making mixtapes for people he had crushes
mhm.
on,
Yes.
making dedications if you're so brave enough to call the radio station and make a dedication.
Yes.
So, and
All
these are
that.
the group, yes, these are the groups that would be playing, would be the songs that I would dedicate. So it's part of me growing up. My dad was one who exposed me to it. So it's just like me, first of all, recognizing the disappearance specifically of the groups, not the genre, but the groups, wanting to
Yeah.
put something down because nothing has really been written about the groups ever. So wanting to put something down to kind of create an encyclopedia of it and then
Mhm.
share the research that I did on why it disappeared with a wish that they would come back. And all that is like my love letter to R&B groups.
Oh, I love it. So it's like a love letter and a wish
Yes,
to bring it
exactly. Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Mm.
Remember
I
when we used to get love letters? Someone would get you a
Oh,
letter,
yeah.
mail it. Doesn't happen anymore, but let's bring that back too.
Let's bring that back. Well, hey, if you have a petition, I'll be the first to sign it.
Okay,
Let's bring
let's
back the
go.
R&B
Let's
And love
go. Yeah,
letters.
and
yeah.
love letters. Yeah. Thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah, Mandy, for you, I'll bring it back to business. I'm so inspired by you and
Aw,
I
thank
think
you.
it's nearly 20 years of coaching and being in business and writing and speaking and leading. Um, I know we're all the same age, but I want to be like both of you when I grow up.
Ah.
um, and Mandy, I'm curious, like, if there's one golden nugget that you would offer of either like a core mindset or belief to newer salespeople or to people like me who struggle to sell themselves, what would that advice be?
Ooh, as you said that, I cycled through like 7 different thoughts. So
Mm,
I'm gonna say a couple. I mean, I think the first thing I'll say this for entrepreneurs is no one is going to tell your story. So
mhm,
you might as well get really good at telling it, and you might as well get very comfortable at telling it. And then you've got to get super comfortable teaching the people that love you dearly, like your friends and family, to tell it. Because
mm,
there's going to come a time when people bump into people and you're not there, and you want them
mhm,
to know what to say about you when you're not in the room.
mm,
So, and be unabashed about it, right? Like just tell your story, empower the people around you to tell your story, and know there is going to come a time where somebody has to tell your story when you're not in the room. Just think about it and visualize that. Imagine that. Like, how do I want somebody to talk about me when I'm not in the room where I'm going to get opportunities, right? Like, I think about
yeah,
Amani's
that's a
book,
great, yeah,
and I think about like Amani teaching me how to talk about his book. And now, like, I'm getting my hair done, or I'm in the Uber. I'm like talking about Amani's book to everybody. But it
mm,
only came because Amani taught me how to talk about himself, right?
mhm, that's such a
So,
great tip.
yeah. And I think as a salesperson or a business owner, I think that's very important.
I have a follow-up question to that. I
Yeah.
think it was on a recent podcast of yours. I think, Amani, it was your publisher. Did you recently interview your
Yeah,
book
yeah.
publisher?
Yeah.
Julie.
And
Yeah.
she'd written 5 books, I think, and one of them was like, "Sell Yourself, Be Successful," or something like that. Do you remember the title of that? It was
I
Hold
think
on.
he has
it
it.
spoke to me, and I was like, "Oh, that's good. I need to get that book."
We'll
It was
see
something
here.
like
It could be like this one, which is self promote and succeed.
yes,
I think
that
that's the
Yes.
one.
one.
Yeah, this one right here. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's hers right
Yeah.
there. Julie, we'll
Thank
send you
you.
the link to it. But Julie
Okay.
Broad, and a great book there. So
I
yeah,
mean, I need all the help I can get in that arena.
we, we all do. We all do. We have a question from Kelly in the audience. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Kelly wants to know what are a couple things you regularly recommend to others to implement into their lives to take care of themselves mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Ooh, good
Oh, that's
question.
a great question. Thank you, Kelly. Well, this one I think is a win-win. Walking. I am a big fan of walking. Um, Walking helps us move our bodies. It's low impact, but there's so much science around how walking is great for our mental health. It sparks creativity. Oftentimes, I'm tempted to listen to podcasts or talk on the phone, but I make time to walk in silence and be with my thoughts, which parlays into the second thing. Make time to be with your thoughts.
Mm.
We are in a world of distractions constantly. And if we wanted to, we could never be with our thoughts. There's always a book to listen to or read or podcast or show or person or social media. And I think, I block out time in my calendar just for thinking. I learned at a very young age that I learned who I was and the person I wanted to become when I was 14 on a remote island in the Caribbean by myself, like just because there were no distractions. And I learned how critical it was to always make time, whether it's going on a weekend getaway by yourself, but make time to that's how you get to know yourself and sort yourself out. Um, and the third thing, I mean, there's so many. The third thing that comes to mind for me is breathing. And that's something that breathing we think is something we don't have to think about and that it just comes, it's just happens for us. Well, that is partially true. It's when we do think about it and when we are intentional with our breath, it can change so much. It can transmute anxiety and fear. It can help us ground and be more confident. Um, it can help us be a better communicator, taking a time to pause and take a few breaths before responding. So, those are three of many, but I think those are three pretty fundamental ones.
Yeah. Great. Great. Now, if we go back to when Portia was just leaving UC Santa Cruz and give her advice based on everything you've learned so far in life, what advice would you give your younger self?
It's okay to be lost.
Mm.
Um, doesn't mean that you don't have direction. It just means that you can't see it. You don't have to have it all figured out. Your soul chose this curriculum, so all you have to do is trust it and follow. And even especially when it feels messy, trust it and keep going. And everything that you've been through up until now and everything that you will go through is all shaping the woman you are and the woman you're here to be. And everything that you're going through will turn into an act of service for so many others. So take nothing for granted and seize the day.
Love it. Now, before we get to Mandy, we have a question from the audience. Jamie Yancey, first of all, thank you for tuning in and sending the question in. He asks, what would you tell companies that are considering coaching for their employees? Like, how would you convince them if they're like, I think we need it, but I'm not sure?
Mhm. Thank you, Jamie, for that question, and thank you for tuning in. Um, well, first, I would start with a question, not an answer. And the question is, how's your team? How's your team working together? How's your team in their productivity? How's their energy? How is your team communicating? Um, how are they resolving conflict? Um, and if your answer to any or some or all of those questions is they could do better, I'd like to see my team happier. I'd like to see my team thriving. I'd like to see my team know how to have constructive conversations and not gossip and give each other the benefit of the doubt and know how to time management and prioritize and have balance with work and life and come in enthused and engaged. Um, if if you want any of that to happen with your team, then coaching's the answer.
Yeah, call me. Okay. Mandy, over to
Yeah.
you.
Well, I want to build on that because this happens a lot, coaching versus training. So, how do you answer that question when somebody approaches you and says, I've got money in the budget for training, but not for
Mhm,
coaching. Or if
mhm,
they don't see the difference, or, how do you
mhm.
approach that question?
The thing that comes to mind for me is we don't call soccer coaches trainers. We don't call Olympic coaches trainers. Now, is there a little bit of training sprinkled in? Likely. But every human that's performing at their highest level or wants to perform at their highest level has a coach. And that's because when we bypass what I refer to and what you've learned is the soul line, and we go straight to training, which is the goal line, we're leaving out the most integral part of the person, which is the person. So if you want someone to come in who's going through a divorce or just lost a loved one or is dealing with imposter syndrome or is not getting along with the person in the cubicle next door or is intimidated by the COO, and you want them to come in and pay attention to a training and get the most out of it and walk out and perform 100%, it's not going to happen. We have to address the person first. We have to support and lift up and teach the skills to the people so that they can be their best selves before they can be their best selves for the organization.
Beautiful. That was beautiful. I love that. I feel the same way. I think coaching is lifting up and bringing things out of people that they never knew they had in them, and training
Mhm,
is much, I feel like, is much different. Okay, so
mhm.
since you said lift up, how can we lift you up? How can we support you? You've given us an hour of your time. You've given our audience so many golden nuggets. What can we do for
Thanks.
you to support you personally or your business and lift you and elevate up?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. First of all, having me here is helping me and lifting me up. So thank you for that. And
Yeah, thanks
honestly,
for being here.
Mandy, you being a coach, you know how this goes. Anytime that you have the opportunity to shift the dialogue around coaching in this world, not just in our culture, but globally right now, uh, we're still living in a time where coaching but for most people is seen as something that people reach for when struggling, if at all. And if you have an opportunity in a conversation to shift that dialogue and help people realize that coaching is something that can transform everybody who chooses to participate in this type of experience. That would be a tremendous help, as well as if you know of any individuals or organizations that are willing to invest in what is a tremendous ROI, please send them my way. Yeah, but just talking about coaching with people and helping them change that misunderstanding is helping, I think, raise the collective consciousness and the vibration of humanity through the ripple effect of like being better people, living better lives, being more emotionally intelligent, being better communicators, being less judgmental towards others. It's all for the collective global good. And that's a mission I'm willing to stand on forever.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for that, Portia. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for being here today. This has been a really
thank
awesome conversation.
you.
And it went so fast. That went so
I
fast.
know.
Mhm.
Fast. Time flies. Time flies.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna give you a round of applause and thank you for being with us. We'll put you back in the green room momentarily, but just once again, round of applause and thank you to Portia for appearing with us today.
Thank you so much, both of you. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you, Portia.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Adventures in Business. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast on the platform that you're currently listening it on. And don't forget to share it with your friends and anybody that might be as much of the business nerds as Amani and I are. See you next time for another captivating interview.